All right, so it's your boy here. So I got an interesting one today that I really want to dive into, and I hope I get some feedback from y'all because I really want to open up some discussion and see where this goes, because I think it's really something cool that a lot of people don't really take the time to think about enough. And honestly, I kind of was watching a movie and it triggered a thought, right? So this is about the idea of the conspiracy theories, right? Y'all know me, and y'all know this, how I feel about social media. Social media is incredible, but when it's misused, social media definitely causes a lot of, I don't know, man, it causes a lot of division. It causes a lot of people to have conflicts, it causes a lot of people to have issues. And it gives everybody the ability to have their thoughts and ideas right at the tip of their fingers, right here. So they could just, it takes them 2 seconds to record some content, type up something real quick, and just put it out there. And then people are like, oh man, Craig said this, or Bobby said this, or whatever. It's like, where's the merit in this? Does this make sense? Blah blah blah. And it's like, before, a lot of people, either they believe you or they don't believe you. And so I think more and more conspiracy theories have come out over the last, I don't know, I'd say over the last 10, 15 years, there's been more. And it's not that there's been more things that we question. I think there's just been more social media to perpetuate it. That's my theory. Now, I'm not 100% that's accurate, but I believe that that's valid. I believe that social media perpetuates this idea because people get their ideas out there, they get their thoughts out there, and sometimes, honestly, it's somebody venting, right? It's somebody doing like what I'm doing right now. I'm posting this content. I'm not telling you 100% this is factual, this is exactly the way it is, but what I'm saying is I'm posing a theory, an idea. I'm hoping that this is going to open up some dialogue for us to discuss, but the reality is some people are going to walk away, well, Corey said, and some people are going to say, yeah, that came from Corey, so it's, whatever. But that's how people do, though. That's what we do. So people post stuff on social media, and sometimes they post it as a question. I got a good buddy that I've plugged a lot of times, Mr. Carlos Rios. Him, along with a few other friends, I got my buddy Avi and some other guys, they frequently do the questions. And they post these things on Facebook or Instagram, or a lot of times they use Facebook and X. And what they do is they post this question, and they're like, hey, they're hoping that people are going to have some dialogue, right? They're hoping that people are going to have some feedback so it can really be a discussion. But instead of people taking it as a discussion, people jump on it and say, well, he said, or he implied. Well, first of all, it's a text. I mean, it's in text. You know what I'm saying? He didn't have any tone, any inflection, anything like that. And there's not a reason to assume that he was giving any implication towards one side or the other. He was actually hoping to open up dialogue, but, people take it and run with it. And it's unfortunate, but that's how people are. We're in this age of wanting that instant gratification. We want an answer. We don't want a question. We don't want to think. What do we want to think for? You're asking people to think? No. People want you to tell and then them agree or disagree. That's it. They don't want a question. Okay? So anyways, I was watching this movie. I was watching The Village, M. Night Shyamalan. And it got me thinking about a lot of M. Night Shyamalan movies. The Village, Sixth Sense. He got great movies. Great movies. And if you're not a fan of his, or if you haven't watched a lot of his movies, that's cool. I encourage you, give them a shot. Some of them are a little startling, a little creepy, but they're not really scary. They kind of build them up in the trailers and stuff to be kind of the scary thing. But most of them have, at least in my opinion, from my perspective, I feel like they like cause us to question, right? Okay, like The Village. Village is a good one, right? Like I said, Village was the one who got me thinking about this. Okay, there's this society, right? This whole town that's hidden. And they keep the people trapped, right? I'm about to spoil it for you if you haven't seen it. So if you want to tune out, that's cool. But if you want to, if you've already seen it, then you know what I'm talking about. So they keep people trapped in this town by telling them this information, telling them about the animals, right? They tell them, hey, we're trapped. We can't leave, right? We're here. And people buy into it. Okay, people are, but see, when the people, when they discuss it, they're like, hey, and you know, I mean, if you haven't seen it, I hope I didn't spoil it too much. I mean, I'm trying not to go into too much of the details because it's not really the point of the details of the movie. It's more about the idea. So these people are trapped in this town. They're trapped in this town by what's surrounding them and keeping them trapped, right? Because they'll be attacked if they try to leave. But meanwhile, the people who are orchestrating this whole thing, they're implementing these fear tactics. They're doing it because they think they're helping. They're doing it for the greater good of their community, of their little society they got right there. They're like, hey, we're protecting them, right? We're protecting them and us and all of us, our little community. It's protected by that fear, right? Okay. They're protected by that fear, so well, you know, we're living in this little community. You know, either I know or I don't know. And if I know, I'm helping. And if I don't know, well, I'm scared. So I stay where I'm safe. Okay. Then, so it's like a question of reality. How often in our society do we question, hey, are we being lied to? Are we being tricked? They're tricking us to control us. Yeah, okay. Maybe they're tricking us because they're trying to keep a secret that they don't want us to know. Maybe they're tricking us because they're trying to control us. Or maybe like in the village, they're trying to control because they believe they know what's best for us. I don't know. I don't care. Let's go on to another one. Let's go on to Sixth Sense, right? Sixth Sense, he's living in a different reality. Most of y'all have seen that. Most of y'all have seen that. And if you haven't, there's been plenty of references in pop culture that in different shows and stuff that have already ruined it for you. So I'm not spoiling anything. You already know. Okay, the man is living this life. He's going to work every day, not knowing that he's dead. He's not knowing, so he's living a reality that's not real. Why is he living it? Because he doesn't know any better. If he knew better, he would change things. So, to me, it's in both of these movies. I said there's great examples in several of Shyamalan's movies, but in both of these movies, I find it interesting because people are living in a false reality. In both movies, it's a false reality. One is because he doesn't know any better. So when he finds out that he's actually dead, he's kind of sad. He's kind of broken. He's kind of, I can't believe I'm dead, right? I mean, he doesn't really say it, but you get this aha moment when he's just like how, right? I mean, you know? And then in the village, they're living in this false reality because of fear. So he just doesn't know any better. They're living in fear. Ultimately, both aren't living in the real scope of things. Now, he just doesn't know any better, so he keeps going to work every day. Now, some could say that's way worse, or some could say, well, maybe that's not as bad. These people in the village are being deliberately lied to because it's for the greater good, right? It's the greater good. We're trying to help. Now, so I try to keep this level of optimism, but I'm not clueless, right? So I try to keep this, it's kind of interwoven a little bit, like reality and optimism. I'm optimistic about the fact that I believe a lot of people in the world, I believe that a lot of people in politics and big businesses and stuff that believe that these people who become in a position of authority, I believe most people mean well. They're doing what they think is best. Now, if you've ever, I grew up a military brat. If you've ever really known a soldier who's been a soldier long enough and who's gotten into a high enough rank, there's this ideology of every squad goes into battle with the mentality of not leaving any fallen behind. But sometimes you're in a position where you have to make a tough call, and it's like, what's the best possible decision? And some people choose what might be best for themselves, or they choose what might be best for the collective, or it's like, how do you make that decision until you're in that position? And some people believe that politics and big business, sometimes people look at it as in like an art of war, right? Ultimately, you're going to make tough decisions. But are you going to always put yourself forward? Or are you going to put the collective forward? There's been companies that have hit walls in the economy, and they've chosen to take stances and say, hey, what's best for the collective? It's time to close up shop. We've done the best we could. This is how it's going to be. There's other companies who have, the Lehman Brothers back in 2008, I think 2007, 2008. Lehman Brothers, there was banks that were struggling with money, and the Lehman Brothers was a big investment firm, and there was several people that were high-level executives with this company, and ultimately they saw it as this: we need to do what's best for the collective, so the collective continues to rely on us, which in the end will be best for us. While there was some senior executives that ultimately said, we're going to sacrifice everything we got so we can walk away unscathed. We'll lose a little, but we'll win the most. Now, some people believe, well, let me rephrase. I believe that you often don't get to a position of power without some dirt on your hands. And the reason is because I think power corrupts people. And so as people level up, there's going to be a time and a point where people have to make a tough decision, and they get scared of losing that power. So sometimes they make the best possible decision for the collective because they think that keeps them in power. Or they make the best possible decision for themselves because they know the power's leaving regardless. Conspiracy theorists, I have a theory about. First of all, I believe most people who get on social media, they talk amongst their friends lately, and they say, oh, well, I'm full on conspiracy theorist. They're really not. Because the reality is that a conspiracy theorist isn't someone who believes in 2 or 3 or 5 conspiracy theories. The idea of a conspiracy theorist is someone who believes they're all out to get them. So if you say, hey, I know this politician is up to no good and they're trying to take out this guy, but obviously that guy's doing nothing. A conspiracy theorist, true to their heart, wouldn't buy that. Because they buy into the fact that this person's doing something, but they believe that maybe that information could have been planted by this person. And maybe the information about this person could have been planted by that person. And maybe the information about that person could have been planted by this other person over here, or that person over there, or the person back here, or something. They always believe that there's something else that's missing, and they never fully believe that they have. Dale Gribble. If you've ever watched King of the Hill, Dale Gribble's a real conspiracy. He don't believe in anything. He believes that it's all out to get him. The only thing he believes in is the outlandish, ridiculous, like the idea that it was an alien. It was an alien that came from the planet Mukduk that came down here, and when that alien came down here, it planted the evidence on this person, but really was tied to this person, and that person was tied to this person, and that's the only thing he really believes in. Everything that could be somehow validated, he questions its validity because maybe I was supposed to believe it. They wanted me to believe it, and they wanted me to believe it. That's why that evidence was planted. That is a real conspiracy theorist. Now, there's a great movie with Mel Gibson, Conspiracy Theory, from the mid-90s, I think. It was great. Watch that movie. He believes nothing. He believes somebody's constantly out to get him. He literally drives a cab. It's incredible. That's a real conspiracy theorist. Now, these people who walk around, I'm a conspiracy theorist because I believe everybody's out to get Trump. That's not a conspiracy theorist. That's someone who's seeking information. I believe I'm a conspiracy theorist because everybody's out to get Biden. I'm a conspiracy theorist because everybody's out to get the white man, the black man, the Mexican. They're all out to get the Asians. Did you know they're all chasing after the Christian? Did you know they're all out to take down the little guy? Did you know they're all out to take down the big guy? So when you zone in, when you find somebody or something that you're constantly pointing the finger towards, you're not a conspiracy theorist. What you are is seeking out information that validates the theories that you already have. You already don't like those poor people. Obviously, they're out to get you. You don't like the rich people. They're obviously out to get you. It's all the people on food stamps. They're the ones dragging everything down. You hate the Republicans. They must be the cause of all of it. You hate the Democrats. They're the cause of everything. No, the reality is even funnier, even more comical is when you see the... got a good buddy. Good buddy. I'm not going to mention him because I'm not attacking him. But, and when he first said it, it has validity. But whether I buy into it or not, I don't know. And he honestly told me, he's like, I don't know if I believe it. He's like, but I wouldn't be surprised. And he said, you watch the old 90s wrestling, right? The old 80s and 90s. We grew up on this stuff. And you see how my mom used to go to all the wrestling events when we were kids. She went a few times when I was a baby, but she used to go a lot before I was born. But when we were kids, we watched them all with her, and she would tell us the stories about how she used to go to the events. And she would go to the events, and she would always find the local bar that was down the street from the event center because they would all show up, or a good handful of them. She had a book full of autographs from all these old school legend wrestlers. But it was cool because she said they would get on there and they'd have this persona. Yeah, you're the bad guy, I'm the good guy, and I can't stand you, and this guy, I'm gonna tear your head off, and like they hated each other, and they would despise each other's nationality, they despise each other's country or state or wherever they came from. They despised the way the other guy talked funny. They mock everything because it was all a gimmick, it was all a scene, it was all to get your attention. They wanted you to watch. It was ratings, it was money, right? But then afterwards, they'd go grab a beer, they'd shake hands, and they'd kick it. Eat some cheese sticks, you know what I'm saying? Mom would go get their autographs while they were hanging out together. But you hate him. Oh, he's not that bad a guy. Well, see, in recent years, there's actually been documentaries that came out about the wrestling, and they've talked about this. They've talked about the people they actually didn't like, and the people they actually really got along with, and, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's all entertainment. Some people, like my homeboy, really believes that's how Congress is. Believe that's really how DC is. It's like they all hate each other, right? Because they're all trying to keep all the citizens jumping from one foot to the other, trying to figure out who's a liberal conservative, who's a conservative liberal, who's that Democrats leaning too far to the right, that Republicans leaning too far to the left. What is really happening here? They're all trying to figure it out, right? Meanwhile, those guys are making their deals, keeping y'all on your toes, and going back and having a beer later saying, hey, we got these guys guessing, we got them right where we want them. The point is I don't really care what you believe. I don't care. That's between you and, you and yours, If if your wife or your husband or whatever has a problem with what you believe, well, y'all got to work that out. But otherwise, it doesn't matter. You know, it just doesn't matter to me. But these conspiracy theorists, the ones that proclaim they're conspiracy theorists, rarely are. They don't seek truth. They seek validation for what they already think, what they already believe. Most people don't know how to do research in the first place. You don't ever ask the question that you're looking for the answer. You ask the opposite to disprove your answer. And if you can't disprove your answer, it validates your answer. If you find any evidence to disprove your answer, well, then you got some things to go back and reevaluate. So if you believe you could have been fooled, see, this is what conspiracy theorists, and anytime I've talked to some of my buddies and family, and I try to talk to them, they don't like to hear it. But it's like, if you believe that you could have been fooled, right? So if you believe those guys over there could have fooled you, and they've been playing you this whole time, right? Couldn't those guys just as easily planted the evidence to implicate them? Well, no, because those guys are trying to shine the light on the truth. Are they? Are they? Now, true conspiracy theorists, that question, if they haven't already asked themselves, that question alone would make them uncomfortable. Like Mel Gibson in that movie. It would make him uncomfortable, like Dale Gribble. It would make him freak out. He's like, oh my God. Hank Hill literally does it to Dale Gribble multiple times. He'll ask him a question, and he'll be like, well, this and this and this and this. And he's like, but wait a second, didn't you say the Mayans? Oh my gosh. Oh my, and Dale will freak out. Because that question, he is a genuine conspiracy theorist. So the theory that the evidence that he's found could have been planted by the guys who want you to believe in them, that alone freaks him out. That is a conspiracy theorist. That is someone who really wants truth and is scared and paranoid of the idea of someone lying and misleading them. If you've thought, if you even entertained the fact that that person could have fooled you, then you have to entertain the idea that the evidence against them was planted and they could be trying to fool you. Otherwise, your whole foundation, it's all suspect. Because you're believing what you want opposed to seeking truth. Just think about it. I mean, just really, most aren't really trying. They're not really, most people aren't really trying to question things. They're not really trying to think of what is really going on. They're not really trying to find answers. They think it's cool and edgy to be a conspiracy theorist. They think makes them interesting. They want, all of us want this. I do. I know I do. I love, when I'm an investor, and whenever I've invested in a stock, I've seen something move. I see something. I see a glimmer of something. And when I take that initiative, I'm like, I'm going to invest in this right now because I feel like I see the market changing. And then when I see these big corporations and investment firms and hedge funds, then they invest in the same thing I just invested in. I'm like, I knew. Yes. I mean, I'm so excited, so enthralled, I'm so pumped. I'm overwhelmed with the joy that I knew something before the experts, right? Everybody wants, we all get that thrill. We all want that, right? It's incredibly just gratifying. It's exciting. It's a rush of adrenaline. You knew something. And that's what these conspiracy theorists, a lot of them, they want to be the one who knows something. They hear something edgy. They already didn't like that guy. And then they hear something and they're like, I knew I didn't like that guy. I knew. Could that evidence have been planted by this guy to make you not like that guy? Yes, absolutely. But I don't don't like that. I knew I didn't like him. I knew I didn't like him. I knew I didn't like him. And now I got the evidence. So now, you know what? I'm going to tell everybody because everybody, Craig and Tommy and Billy, they don't know about this information. I'm going to be the one to bring it to them. I'm going to let them know. And they hide behind this label. They hide behind the label of a conspiracy theorist. They're like, I'm seeking truth. I'm a conspiracy theorist who's seeking truth, and that gives them permission to dislike that guy and to continue judging that guy based on what easily could have been fabricated. If he could lie to you, if he could fool you for years, months, weeks, days, I don't know, if he could do that, then couldn't more powerful people lie to you just the same? Couldn't that information have been just as easily fabricated as the evidence that he fabricated? Couldn't the evidence that implicates him? Nah, y'all don't want to answer that. Because if you take away this evidence that we have that implicates him, it invalidates your dislike of him. It discredits your ability to judge him. Y'all don't like that. We don't like that. People don't like that. Conspiracy theories. Shyamalan was on to something. I think he tapped into an intrinsic, a basic, fundamental aspect of the human mentality. We will live a lie if we convince ourselves to, if we've been convinced to, if we are afraid to move forward, or if we've been told any kind of lie towards ourselves, by ourselves. It's easy for us to be influenced and encouraged to live that false truth or that false identity and live within that scope if we've built it up in our own mind. That's something that all of us are capable of. The human psyche absolutely will give into that. And so many people are eager to allow that to happen. If you've watched a lot of Shyamalan movies, say go back and watch one or two of them. It's sure fun, but watch it from that aspect. Question, don't just enjoy the entertainment and the thrill of the movie, but watch it from the scope of, ask yourself, how easily would you succumb to that? How easy would you buy into a false reality because of something someone else told you? Something else you told yourself. Just like he told himself, I gotta get up and go to work. Bro, you're dead. We lie to ourselves all the time. And people lie to us. And people will try to manipulate you and trick you. I encourage you all to start questioning things a little bit more, but question them with a grain of salt. At the end of the day, if someone has tricked you, if you're like bringing up something that somebody has tricked you back in the 70s, somebody's tricked you in the 80s, it's 2023, does it matter? I got people still arguing today about whether the moon landing was real, whether it really happened. I ask you, please give me one reason to care. Well, if the government lied to us about that, then they could have done a lot. But if people have been questioning that for 60 years, and they're still disputing and disagreeing and nobody's 100%, then I ask you, how much does it matter? If you know, if they came out and were honest and said, we lied, we faked the whole thing, what would it change for you? And if you found concrete evidence today, 100% know it's true. There was a discovery that there was this rock that NASA had hidden. They brought it back from the moon. We can carbon date it and all this crap. I don't know. I'm just saying, what if there was a way to prove that it actually happened when it happened? What would that change? If you disbelieve it or if you believe it, it's not changing a whole lot of your world today. I say spend more times on the things that really matter. Y'all know my three. My God, my family, my bankroll. It's your boy. I got love for y'all. I'm out.